Alright, good evening everybody. Yes, it's been a while. We're going to jump right into it. We've got a A2289, I think it is. It's liquid damaged, which you can probably see all over there. So I don't know whether it's going to be through the keyboard or not, but yeah, we'll do what we can. I think we won't bother seeing what its behavior is while it's in chassis, because it's obviously pretty clear it's going to need some sort of revival from near death. Supposedly it does not draw any power at this point, so that's actually a good kind of fault to have. Okay, my mouse is still playing silly buggers with me. Come on, mouse. Oh, honestly. 5 minutes into the stream after a couple of weeks of being away and I'm still having dramas. Fantastic. Fantastic. The setup's been rearranged a little bit here. I haven't got my lighting yet, so it's still going to be a little bit dim. I've kind of pushed the exposure rate on the camera a little bit high, so if you see a bit of noise and things like that, that's what it'll be from. But I now have a 1-inch thick metal rail, diameter rail across above me, and I'm just hanging down all the equipment I need for the camera. So the 4K cam, the gym cam, is directly above me. Hopefully it won't let go, because if it lets go then I'm going to have a bump on my head and the camera's going to be upset too. Alright, let's get this thing apart. Now I've got to find my TR4. TR4, no. It's actually been a little while since I've had to open up a Macbook. By a little while I mean, a few days. That's still a reasonable amount of time. Probably forgotten everything by now. I think I've been lulled into being lazy, and look, I've already forgotten that I was actually supposed to disconnect that battery first. Lulled into laziness by the smooth talking Bob Rossman. I gotta admit, it actually kind of wigs me out listening to Lewis Rossman speaking very softly. And now we're going to see if the MacBook needs a little bit of love. Yeah, personally I keep veering off the Ross and going more towards the Attenborough, but well, each to their own. Yeah, I can see liquid damage down here. Oh. Yeah, Mike agreed. It doesn't take long for that information to just dissipate. Yes, it's rather unnerving listening to Lewis in a calm voice. One does tend to expect him to be a little more expressive, in the way a New Yorker truly should be, demonstrating his disdain with all that is around him. Hey Jim. Hey Promo. PR. There has been updates to Flexboardview. There is a new release out, 14.10, and it just cleans up a few things. You now have the ability to create your own local repair guides or diagnostic guides, and then once you've perfected them there, if you want them added in to the open board data system, this machine is completely fire trucked because it looks like it's had a short and 50 volts has probably gone to the CPU. Damn it. Yeah, kablammy. You are out of here. Yeah, that's probably very dead now. It really went to town on that one. Damn. Crikey, mate. Well, since it has done that, I am going to put power on now that we've disconnected that and see what sort of crazy behavior we may get... I'll just clean up that section a little. But yeah, that's probably going to be a very dead machine now. It's not always. I actually don't know if this one has a mux on it. I don't think they do, not these ones. If it did have a mux, it could have been saved. $50 milliamps and 5 volts. Okay, where's my multimeter leads? Just going to check the CPU, GPU resistances. That's real unfortunate. So many die this way. That's a little weird. Attain W. Yeah, Pro Engineer, I do agree. I mean, I know, yeah, Dave Jones did correctly indicate that by design, these connectors do have plenty of insulative capacity between the pins. So yeah, by design, there's no drama. But the trouble is, we're not trying to build this for the perfect design situation. We're dealing with actualities of reality. Actualities of reality? We're dealing with reality. And so having a guard pin between the two would have been what I would consider to be a fairly prudent design move. Explicitly because you know you will be... You're putting the guard pin in there in order to deal with something going wrong, some liquid ingress on that section. You do know already that by design, under normal circumstances, yeah, there's no problem there. But like I said, we put a guard pin in there for the things that we don't know. I mean, otherwise, why would we bother putting fuses into things? I mean, it's as simple as that. If you're going to put a fuse into design, it means then you're designing for bad things to happen or potential things to happen. So why not put a guard pin between your backlight output and a data line? I mean, they did it in the previous ones. The CPU resistances seem to be okay, but oh man, this thing has actually got a lot of damage. All the connectors down here are botched, so the touchpad's probably also gone, which means that this is probably going to need and all the plastic thingy-jigs are just coming off. So it means the keyboard's probably going to need replacing, the trackpad need replacing, battery will need replacing. It may end up being a situation where it's a data recovery if we're lucky, and then if the person does want to put out the expense, then a replacement deck and chassis. Guess we'll see. Amanda Garcia, El Paso, Texas. I want to say thank you. I've learned a lot from your channel. You do a great job of explaining stuff. Oh, Amanda, thank you very much for the 20. That's actually very much appreciated. It means I don't go to the night with a $0 turnover for today. It's funny, yesterday I had a really good turnover, and then today, dead quiet. And Armando there has just made it less quiet. There'll probably be Flexboardview sales during the night, because most of the time the rest of the world is up and about buying stuff or doing things while I'm asleep, or I should rather say trying to sleep. So thank you very much for that, Amanda. Hey, Oscar's here. The Andre 96, the 840 has cats between the LCD and CPU. Oh, okay, so it's capacitively coupled signal lines. Okay, yep, there's a choice. There's a chance there then. Thanks for letting me know. This isn't the 840 though, this is the 1598 I think. I haven't had a chance to look at the schematic for this one yet. This is probably only the third or fourth one that I've had a look at physically. And you can tell by the fact that I still do not have a proper socket for removing that hex drive. I'm actually struggling with this one. Wow, I really am struggling with that. Jim, surprisingly, as funny as what you say is, that is actually what happens. Yes, my love.
He was just crying for you.
Oh, he's crying for me. Oh, well. Let me tend to the little rat bag. Oh, Luna's there too.
He was sitting at the door.
Yeah. You can put him down actually and I'll grab him.
Okay.
Thanks. Come here. Come on. You can grab her. Thanks, sweetie. Alright, cat cam time. Little Momo has been at the door outside whining. He's become daddy's boy lately, haven't you? He really talks loud. In fact, he gets kind of frustrated, as if he wants to talk, like human speech, don't you? Yep. And he sounds like, if any of you have watched Rick and Morty, with the dog episode, how the dog goes, and now you're getting uncomfortable. Come on, Mo. Here you go. Anyway, he really tries hard to talk, and then I think he gets very frustrated when we don't understand what it is he wants, because it's not always biscuits. Sometimes it's a pat. Sometimes he wants to play. Sometimes he wants to scratch your face off. Yeah, those claws are sharp, I know. He wakes me up periodically with them. His latest little trick is to jump across the bed head while I'm asleep. So, like, I'll be asleep and then I'll wake up to his back feet knocking me across the face as he jumps across. Mike Sims, thank you for the donation matching program. Not sure I deserve that one, but I do appreciate it, always. Tonight we had fun with the wildlings, which of course are, we wouldn't call them stray cats because they're not quite, but the ones that we look after that aren't actually ours. They caught themselves another micro bat, like the bats that are only about 4 inches in size. I'm really not a fan of them catching those bats for the sake of the bats, and also because, as we know, bats do tend to carry a lot of medically significant pathogens and viruses sometimes. Fortunately, Milo, the kitty cat that was just there, he has stopped for the moment. I'm probably going to regret saying this, but he has stopped for the moment attacking my feet. So yeah, I'll gladly take him flying over my head and kicking me in the nose over him biting my feet. Genuinely. Okay, that was actually extraordinarily hard to get off. Ah, Miles. All in good time. Don't worry, a cat will pick you one day. That's usually how it works. You don't get to pick a cat, they get to pick you. Yeah, we've got the geckos. But what was nice when I was out there Hey Pro Engineer, hex socket procurement program. Now if someone could just, I need to measure what the actual size of that socket is. Oh no, this is in very bad shape. Very bad shape indeed. This will probably have to be one that I restore if I can get it back and then place into an alternate chassis to get the data off. But yeah, this is in quite bad shape. The backlight section's been completely wrecked. Let's get a focus. Look at that. That's quite a sad tale. Hey Jim, you're known as the bird whisperer. Said hello to a raven last week and it copied me and said hello back. Really? We've got liquid. This is probably why it's only getting 5 volts. There's liquid under the CD3217. Where that could be a blessing. That one seems fine, so we'll just have to put one CD3217 on. But we're going to have to clear away everything else that's damaged. Yeah, yuck. Yeah, this is a real mess. That would have been churning away for quite some time. Yeah, let's hope that it's shorted before it got too far along, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know exactly how it got to the state it's in. That cap there is probably, yeah, that's definitely shorted there. I can just feel it. Or at least I'm pretty damn sure it's shorted. This is kind of like on iPhones when you get that Wi-Fi cap. Yeah, that's that's definitely, that will definitely be shorted there. Let's see what rail that's on. Would help first if I, there's mess there. Oh wow, okay, it just gets worse and worse as I look at it. So that there has actually created its own new, it was a mini forge. That will be the filter going to powering the LCD. Blimey heck. I'm just going to take that off. At this point, really, under a normal circumstance, I would contact the client and say, look, you know, it's a very badly damaged board. It isn't in my recommendation to consider repairing it for daily duty again. I would consider this a situation of get your data off and move to a new machine, or if you don't need the data, then just walk away from this machine. And yeah, I mean, it's probably is repairable, but the trouble is, no, look at that. See, CPU. Was that CPU? No, that's what the heck's under there? T2. Yeah, so that's Rec 2. Every time I move to a new section, there's more trash. I haven't even yet worked out what board I've got. But it does essentially support my point, which is that there is too much damage on this board. Okay, it's a 1987. Oh, I've got one of those, yes. Hey, Rilla. The thing is, I can't find my PDF. Hey, Barry. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Barry. Kind of like Apple. Yeah, Dingo got my PDF. That's kind of weird. And looks like I've added features in here that I'm not supposed to yet. Oh well. Pretty sure I've got this one. Share, tech, boards, Apple. It would appear not. Please stand by. It must exist. And I have got the PDF, so that's good. I'm just going to download it. That was weird. I must have just failed to copy it across in the first place. Alright. So what was I even looking at? Now I've forgotten what I was trying to damn it. There was something I was trying to suss out. And now I've forgotten what it was. Looks like it might have been Coke that they spilled on it. Oh, that's right. Ah, and there's under there too. Blimey heck. Amazingly, the ISL 9240 seems to have avoided the worst of that. Right, we're after seeing what rail that cap is. Just turn the whole thing up. This one here. Okay, so we can measure it on the one that's just outside. Is this lost my complimentary downvoter? Really? Oh, maybe they're just on a holiday. Let's just hopefully they're on a holiday and they'll come back soon enough. They'll catch up, I'm sure, tomorrow. Yeah, well, that's definitely shorted. No questions there. As in that rail, not specifically. That cap's probably fine, but that rail there, that cap will be in trouble. These ones will be their own kind of trouble. So let's get rid of this one first. It's the fun one. Let's get out our Grim Reaper. Okay, we're just doing 250 centigrade here. Nothing too crazy. And I'm waiting for my new hot air station to arrive. I don't know when it will get here. COVID is obviously, you know, there's a lot of slowdown on packaging, or shipping rather. They said before the end of the month, but I'm not really willing to put too much faith in that. I would have liked to have probably gone with another quick, but I couldn't find any available for sale at a reasonable price, at reasonable shipping and reasonable time frames. So I end up going for the Atom. And hopefully I haven't made a boo-boo with that. If I have, no problem. I've got a replacement heater element coming for the quick anyway. Yeah, good point, Joseph King. Which month? That's actually well and truly stuck down. Oh, that's not coming off in a hurry, so I'm not going to Jessa method that. The other thing I need to do is buy another Hacko FX, another solder station basically. Oh no, that got knocked down. Whoops. Yeah, buy another solder station so that I can either have a spare, which is always good of course, and also while it's not acting as a spare I can put the thicker tip on it, which will allow me to do stuff like this a little bit more gracefully. There we go. Mike Sims, you have the Atom and it's amazing. Alright. Well, I guess we'll see. Okay, so that... Okay, so we remove the short from that. So that's one botched up part of the board down. A hell of a lot more to go. Is that a crack through that chip? Can't tell if that's a crack or scratch. It's just a scratch. It is but a scratch. This whole area needs to be wiped out. That's kind of sad. I'm kind of thinking what I can get away with, but probably can't get away with anything. I'll have to go and get rid of it all. Hey Greg, good morning. Andrew Hughes, I have often considered getting the 203, but they are just stupidly expensive, and I don't really have any compulsion for the hot tweezers, so I'd rather just get another 951. I kind of wonder if I shouldn't have actually washed this down with 80/20 first. Yeah, I think I might actually... I'll let this flux up, but I might give it a wash down for 80/20 first to get rid of all the actual corrosion soot. I mean, I can see the appeal of the hot tweezers, but I think realistically they don't have enough punch. And that's not 80/20, Paul, that's 100%. Dimwit. Okay, that's 80/20. And we're not trying to fully clean the board, but we are trying to just clear away a lot of that sort of strange soot that it leaves behind, which is just simply a byproduct of the electrolysis process that's going on. Like if you ever watch an electrolysis going on in a tank, you'll get that. You see the scum that builds up on the side. Dave Ferguson, what did I miss there, buddy? Do I work on GPUs? Got a Sapphire Nitro 5700 that boots fine, but when load is put on the memory, crashes the system. Yeah, okay, I admit that's not something I work on, yep. Okay, so that's back to 100% there. I think realistically, basically all of these caps need to... That one there, see that one there, we can now see is clearly shorted and destroyed. That's a very unhappy cap. Yeah, sorry Dave, a lot of the time when it comes to those sort of things you need to end up dedicating the whole workshop to it, or I mean admittedly, you know, you're not going to learn unless you actually get started with them, but I suppose my hands are full at the moment with everything else, not just with board repairs but with the open board data project and things like that. Those two caps are about the only ones that survived. These kind of look okay, but I'm ditching them anyway. That one went through the board. Just going to put all these caps into the container of dead parts for this board. Sadly, this container is probably going to get moderately full on this one. I heard Pedro was scammed by Union Repair. If only we could be so lucky. That would be a story worth telling to the end of time. Alright, let's see if we've got a short here. Alright, that seems okay. I am not going to bother rebuilding that backlight section at this point. We really need to get to the point where we have a booting machine before we even bother with that. Because I can always just connect it to an external screen. And once you've got the external screen, you can get the data off for the people. So it's a matter of priorities with these sort of jobs. Okay, so this one here has certainly been stewing for quite a while. Let's see what that cap is. Alright, it's the C7820. So it's on VDD main. Thank you, Joseph. They sold fake programmer for T2 chips. Really? Mike Sims, yes, I do have a bench fee. Typically it's about $60, 66 bucks, you know, if you add GST. Yeah, running low on the alcohol. For a while there, I wasn't imposing it so much, but lately a lot of the jobs have started to become either compound faults to the point where it's not economical, or they just take me forever to sort out, only to find out that I can't sort it out. So yeah, there's a minimum fee now. Many a time though I'll forgo that if the person decides that they don't want the machine or anything of it anymore, and I'll just simply trade them the chassis with maybe a little bit of extra money in exchange. Yeah, and I'm happy with that if it's something like one of these more modern machines. Things like 1466s and even 1398s and 1502s now, I don't bother with that because I've just got too many of them. Well, we're not shorted there, so I'm not going to bother removing that. It was... clearly it's been doing its electrolysis, but I'm not going to replace it because it isn't actually showing any shorting. Hey, 555. ANZ. But we'll give it a bit of flux boil. Hopefully the T2 wasn't messed up by this. Okay, we can see the bobbling around the end caps, that's good. So now we've got this up here, which kind of looks like a temperature sensor to me. I could be wrong. Wait, I'm often wrong, so we'll assume I'm wrong. Droop circuit. Oh, my bad. No. Okay. Definitely not temperature sensor. Okay, a droop circuit basically looks out for if the voltage rails suddenly drop down a bit. I'm not exactly sure. What is it? P-bus driver, proc hot. Obviously it does something to try and arrest the droop. Really, you're right. I mean, 60 doesn't cover the time for it, but I suppose you have a bit of a hedged bet. You kind of hope that most of the time you can solve it. Yeah, you're not always going to win. Sometimes you do, but not always. Just want to see what the state of the pads are under this. I'm trying to be careful because the Wi-Fi chip's right there. Yeah, it definitely needs a clean up. Ed, one for every day of the week. That's pretty good. Yep. I know I've got too many now. I do need to start selling off things. Just simply so I can get more room in the house. I mean, I've got a big house, or a biggish house. It's amazing how quickly the room just vanishes. So make sure I don't knock off that chip. Hey, Mark Guzman, how are you? Guzman, isn't that south of the border type name? Mexican? Oh well, actually got something right for a change. Oh, welcome along. Right, so this is a catastrophic disaster here. That I'm kind of impressed by how shiny the little bit of metal it created is. It's going to be fun getting that off. Hopefully it's not welded. I'm kind of fearing it is, but hopefully it's not. Mike Sims, they charge $600 for a battery. Which model? Tell me 1466. That would be even more hilarious. Yeah, this one... Gotta be careful there, it can end up ripping up everything. Alright. It definitely does feel welded on the other side. But we'll see if we can get it to come up. We don't want to destroy that display connector yet. .2016 13-inch. Okay. Even still. Damn it. Just adding a mass to the top of the metal shield so it won't lift up. Ah. I don't want the hot air blowing onto that connector for the display too much. Yeah, that's welded. So we kind of have to find our way around that. Yeah, it's delaminated from the board as well. And that looks shiny like solder, but I can tell you that's not solder. All I'm trying to do at this point is get that blob to maybe detach from the track, but because it's not attached to the circuit board. Oh, there we go. Yep, we get it. Because the track itself has lifted from the circuit board. So we're just essentially trying to get to separate from the copper. Does not want to play that game. So we may have to just leave it like this, and then we'll run the inductor across, or the filter, whatever you want to call it. Try to be careful not to rip this, so I'm going to run the toothbrush in the orientation of that trace. That's pretty gnarly. Alright, what else we got? Yeah, we've obviously got a million problems here, but this CD3217 is most likely going to be our next attack point. But I want to be sure that, or at least fairly sure, I've cleared away the other obstacles before I invest another 3217 into it. Because even though I can get 3217s, you know, off AliExpress, I prefer not to put them at risk or waste them any more than I have to, because they are still moderately expensive. Okay, so there's junk down here. It looks more like coke residues. That cap's definitely gone. It may not be shorted though, we'll test that. Because the other thing is with... oh, there's some junk there. With stuff like coke, it will become conductive enough to cause troubles. DeAndre, have you seen TVW boards before? If you want to send me a couple of them, and if you don't happen to have the spec for them, do you? Send me a couple of files. Are they plain text or are they encrypted? Or maybe in between, maybe they're binary format, database type format, which is no fun either. But at least if they're not encrypted, there's some minor chance of decoding them. If they're plain text, then definitely have a decent chance of writing a decoder for them. So yeah, send them my way. More than happy to do that. Coke's 98% water perhaps, but when it dries out after it's been on a board, the sugar and the burning up with the carbon, that's when the trouble starts. And a lot of the time, because a lot of the pins on modern chips, they're very high impedance input, so you don't actually need a lot of power to make the data lines get switched over. All you need to do is assert some kind of voltage. It could even be through like a 1 meg impedance, no troubles, even 10 meg impedance, and the signal inputs on the other end, whatever it is, the CPU, whatever, will happily consider that and run with it. In fact, it's by design now that most of the modern circuitry prefers to have extremely limited consumption on inputs. Because obviously the less you're consuming just reading the inputs, the longer your battery's going to last, the less power you waste, the less heat you generate. Yes, coke does contain phosphoric acid. That's more of a long-term issue, like after a few days. It's more a case of once the chain reaction gets started, that is, you start getting a current flowing across some coke, then yeah, that's when things quickly start to get out of control. Alright, so this 3217 is definitely going to have to come up. You can see the junk under it. We might be lucky and it might actually be okay after a reball. Hopefully we don't upset that. Hard to say. Kind of have my doubts, I will be honest. That was a bit naughty of me. Shouldn't really twist the chips off. You can pull at them gently, shake them side to side slightly, but twisting is a bit naughty. You can easily rip a pad. Now, even with the shield, you can see there was a bit of a bobble out of solder there. Well, I would say that this is definitely why we're only getting 5 volts. The question is, will we get anything more than 5 volts when we restore this? And if we do get 20 volts, will we even get a living, breathing machine? Or is it just going to be a vegetable? Yeah, Jim, it's good to see Tim finally picking up some traffic there. Probably helped too that Lewis gave him a rather extensive call out, which was good. Using him as an example of luck versus no luck, versus doing something versus not. That's what Lewis does. He shills hard. He also complains a lot about software that he doesn't know how to use. Trying to be careful here. Some of these pads could be holding on by their last breath. But I'm trying to clear away. There was a fair bit of really crusted on stuff on there. That's looking better. Andrew Hughes, say hello back to your cat. Let's clean up some of these external parts. We're going to do some hot air wicking now. Something I don't really know why many other people don't use, but I guess everybody's got their own style of doing things, except when they're all wrong. Everybody should be hot air wicking. It's the safe way. Responded with a silent meow. That's good, Andrew. That will do just fine. The biggest danger with hot air wicking, I will say though, is if you chicken out and leave the wick on there and it gets snagged on a solder, you know, something that's got liquefied solder, and then it cools down, it grabs, and then you pull the wick away. But that's true of normal wicking anyway. Okay, I've still got 2 pads at least there that are giving me grief. Miles, what wick are you using? Maybe if you dip it into flux and heat the wick first? I don't know. It's weird, I've got a very strange left-right focus issue. It must be the board tilting funny. Gotta be careful here, this can go seriously wrong very quickly. Goot wick. Okay, so it's a coarse... Goot is coarser than this tech spray stuff. I do use Goot, but definitely I find that it's a much coarser weave than what the tech spray is. So yeah, it does make it a little bit harder to get to pick up. Chris Long was actually the one that got me onto tech spray. It was like a never-ending, demented, junky Girl Scout with mint cookies. And just kept telling me, get this, get this, get this, get this, please sir, get this, it'll be the greatest thing ever, get this, get this, get this. If you don't get it, I'm gonna cut you. Anyway, so not wanting to be cut, I decided to give it a shot, and I'm glad he persisted. One of the few times in life where someone's persistence was actually for a legitimate reason. Certainly I use Goot, still do, but I gotta admit, for this sort of work I have found myself preferring the tech spray. I'd say the strands are around about half the thickness of the tech spray ones. Sorry, the Goot wick. And it really does make a difference. Jehovah's Witnesses are more of the Mormons, yeah. I use Chip Quick still. Use the iron. Okay, right. Right, what am I after? I'm after some 3217s. Right. Let us hope that I know what I've done with them. Because as we all know, I have made myself famous for not knowing where anything is, because I don't keep a proper organised workshop, because I'm not a professional. Just another hack job, baby. It's over here, that's why. Okay, 9270s, not quite what I was after. ISL 9239s, still not quite what I'm after. 3215s, definitely not what I'm after. Oh, please don't tell me that... I'm almost certain I have some in stock. 3215. Oh, that's great. I've pretty much forgotten now which one's my fake 3215s versus my real 3215s. Bravo, Paul. Bravo. Marvellous what you've done there. Let's say. Okay, not you, not you, not you. Not you. At least I'm fairly sure I have 17s in stock. I'm fairly sure I ordered them. It'd be a bit of a tragic situation if I had not. I do have other sources, but that means I will have to take them off another board, and I'd prefer not to do that. Because most of the other boards I have with the 3217s, they are boards that may yet be fixable as soon as I can actually work out how to fix them. Let's see, 9240. Okay, pretty sure you are the fake nasty SOBs. Looks like I've got one here, but I have no idea what state it's in, whether it's any good. It's going to be a bit of a gamble. And it's probably dodgy. Because I can't see any possible reason for me to have one that wouldn't be dodgy. Let's see, we've got another little baggie down here. Is that you? No, instead you're just boring ass. Oh nice, yeah, just boring old iPhone 4 sort of stickers. Well, how lovely. Okay, let's have a look at this one that may or may not be any good. Looks like an attempt to reball it has been done. But there's a missing pad there. The fact that there is showing a little bit of exposed copper worries me. I fear that it may mean that this was corroded. Oh well, we'll give it a whirl, shall we? Because I'm a little surprised. I was fairly adamant I had 3217s around. But looks like it's just going to be another case of me ordering more stuff before I go to bed. Just tearing down the rest of my bench, just in case. Really, if I was working for Lewis Rossman, I would most likely be fired on the first day. Yeah, I know it's pin 1 marker Arnold, but what I mean is that the nature in which it looks, the fact that it's got the exposed copper rather than either HASL covering or just simply some conformal over it, it worries me because that's not actually, I'm fairly sure that's not the normal look for it. It should either be slightly greened over or it should be solder masked over. That's what I'm referring to, not the fact that it's there. I'm well aware that that's pin 1. Anyway, we're going to give it a go. rub down. Okay, thanks Jim, and thanks Andre. Let me just see if they have come through. My mouse will help me. So I'm just rubbing the chip. Aha, TVW. It's a bit too much flux on this chip. 14.7 megs, well, certainly not compressed, but I have a feeling they might be full production files or design files, so that's going to be interesting. Let's have a look at what they are. Okay, it looks like it's the database format. Yeah, it's consistently encoded, so it's not encrypted, it's not compressed, but it is a binary database format. You can see because you've got all your repeating patterns here, and then they break off. So it might be decodable. Let's see, let's try something else. Strings. Okay, so I've probably got layers there. CAD file. It's probably ORCAD. Okay, we've got probably networks. Yeah, I'd say they're networks. Okay, yeah, this is a full design file. We've even got, part specifications. So it's a case of determining what database format this is in. It's probably custom, maybe fixed records. Let's see if it's recognized by anything. Just random data. So it's kind of like on the difficult side of writing a decoder, but not implausible. Yeah, I'm just not sure. It doesn't really give me any clues as to... Okay, top. Okay, so each layer has a different file probably that they drew from. Fixed width records, most likely. The bulk of the data is probably going to be routing, traces, things like that, and that will be stuff I won't so easily be able to decode. And here's all the component parts. So, like, there's your part number, capacity, size, So the data's there, but trying to actually tie it together, that's the hard bit. So plausible, not quite likely, but plausible. Here's a bribe, £2. Gonna need bigger bribes on that one. Looks like something out of Swordfish. That was an interesting movie. Not sort of role I'd expect to see Hugh Jackman play, but yeah. Certainly the role I'd see, what's his name? John Travolta play. He loves to play that sort of style. Right, I need to find my stencils, which are right here. I gave them round. DeAndre, Board Viewer can do it. Okay. Well, if Board Viewer can do it, then maybe there's some hope. Maybe I can find a spec for it somewhere. I'll see if it's around. Because I can't imagine Board Viewer, that program, having access to something that I can't get access to. So yeah, we'll give it a shot. Board Viewer is not Pionov. Pionov is Open Board View. That's along with myself. Although, to be fair, I don't do anything much with it anymore. So it's primarily Pionov now. Yeah, Board View is by some, I think, Russian guy. We had a bit of a clash a few years ago. He accused me of copying his code, and it took far too long, and he came in far too hot at me for me to explain to him that I didn't copy his code, but rather we both just simply failed to, because we didn't have the spec for the ASUS FZ format, we both didn't realize that there was a unit specification that is very rarely used in the FZ format. And on the occasional board that it does have that spec, and it is not the standard thou per inch, it makes the board look very strange. And so when he saw that Open Board View also did that, he presumed that we had stolen, reverse engineered his code, because the FZ format isn't something that you can just look at. It is encrypted with, well, I shouldn't say encrypted, but it's encoded with RC6, and you do have to have a fairly long key to decode it. Yeah, it was just a case of we both worked from the same spec or board samples that we had, and none of them included this particular what do you call it, bit of code in it, until this one turned up, and then he's like, "You stole my code," and it's like, no, we both just didn't realise that was spec. Anyway, needless to say, yeah, that put us off on a bad foot, and I tried hard to get back on the "it's all good, no worries," but I think the damage was done. Now, I think probably deep down he still thinks that we stole it. Which is a real shame, because, you know, so we didn't. But unfortunately, once people, particularly if they overexert themselves in terms of, like, if they come at you really hot with the accusation, then it's, once you invest yourself into that position, it's very hard to back out of it, which is often what happens. And so people just maintain that perspective and then try to create a world around them that verifies that. Which is why, as a general rule, I will tend to, I'm very hesitant to accuse people of things or anything like that, because it seems the universe has taught me far too many times that I'm probably wrong. And I do wish Lewis would learn that when it comes to my software. Any Lonnie Gallen? I've kind of made a slight boo-boo here in the fact that I broke apart my dried up paste. Anyway, let's see how we go. Not feeling the confidence in this one, I'm afraid. Right, leave it alone, Paul. No, add more. It seems like I wanted to add more. I'm gonna have to definitely clear the excess paste off those tips. Hello. Oh man, how many times do I have to forget how to pronounce your name? Mr. Cyrillic name. That's the way it goes, Mike. That's the way it goes. Gotta convince myself that I know better. I love how the solder melts everywhere around the chip, but not where you're pointing the chip. Yeah, the hot air. A lot of those balls aren't dropping down properly. Just kind of worried if they don't drop, then when I lift the stencil, they won't be attached to the chip. Guess we'll see. There's Lewis doing a deliverance thing, is he? Okay, that's voluntarily stuck there. Just add a bit of flux and add some heat and it'll come off. Seems like that went alright. Christian seems like I'm rather quotable tonight, it would seem. For all the wrong reasons. Just, I'm sure he's seen the movie, but yeah, that was quite a movie, especially for its time. Can't believe how young Burt Reynolds looks in it. Well, in fact, all of them for that matter. Okay, we're just doing this so that all the balls realign themselves over the pads properly. Miles, I don't necessarily want to be quotable. It's almost never a good thing. Okay, where's my pin 1 on this? Okay, top left, which is where I have it. Damn it. The board's cold, so my flux did not just nicely melt into place. Would have been nice if it just sort of did this. So as you know, I'm not a big fan of using a lot of flux on these chips. They have this annoying tendency to float away on me. Is it me or is that chip buckled? It's just me. It's kind of looked like the chip was buckled like a potato chip, which I thought was a bit unusual, but anything is possible. Oh, sorry folks. Speaking of buzzers, I got my Bitscope finally, and I captured the buzzer, the soundtrack selector, and there's definitely, I know which call I want. Oh man, sorry, I've just got to concentrate on this. I mean, it's swimming, but I don't know if I can trust it. There we go. And I just realised I haven't got the fume extractor on. But I got my Bitscope. It's a handy enough device. I'm a little bit annoyed by how limited. It's only got a 12K storage for capture, which in my opinion is pretty freaking awful. I would have hoped at least for 128K capture window, capacity buffer. Instead, no, 12. So it does not give you a lot of capture range. Fortunately, you can set the trigger, but the trouble is sometimes you can have a bit of a noisy trigger line, and you want to try and capture more than just the proper signal. Alright, so here we go. This. Oh, I haven't cooled it down. Whoops. I did see that, Greg. I didn't watch the full video, but I did catch it at the time where he realised he'd been doing the wrong chip. Jim, what do you got there? TiVo View. Okay, is that a spec? Probably not. TiVo View. Actually, the name does sound... Just gonna have a look at that PDF. It's probably not going to be any good to me. Alright, let's see how we go with this. Oh, we're up to 20 volts. So we're lucky that chip actually did work. 200, 100, 200, 400, 200, 100. It doesn't quite seem to be booting though. It's sort of like 150, 200, 300, 200. Actually, with these new boards, maybe 200 is actually okay. I'll see if it gives me anything on the gym screen. I'm not going to bother putting it back into the chassis. It probably wants the battery though. It's the gym screen. Where did I put the remote control for the camera? The camera is now elevated too high up for me to grab the pan out or the zoom out or whatever. So I've got the remote somewhere, I'm just going to find it. Like everything in my workshop. I spent 3/4 of the day finding it. See, Mike Sims Day ticked you off. What was ranting and the problem was his own error. What was that for? Yeah, the fact that it's not static current, there is hope. The only downside, of course, is it's a looping current, which is a little bit of a concern. I need to mount this onto a more useful setup. Okay, we're going to go through the block. Okay, we're still getting 20 volts, so there is a bit of smartness going on in there. Now the only trouble is sometimes with these new machines is they won't activate the external display until you've logged in and given permission to use the external display. At least that's what I have found on a couple of them. I might drop it in the other no, I can't, because I just realized that we do not have an external display capacity on this yet. 250, 280, 270. It's kind of feeling like it's... except that's pretty much bone cold. And of course we don't have any backlight generation capability. Okay, so it's settled down at 150 milliamps. Oh no, it's picking up again. Just give it a little bit of time. Sometimes these things can take a minute or two to come up. Hey Jesper, or is it Have? So many ways to possibly pronounce that. CPU V-core present. Good point. Let's try and have a look at that. Often I like to sit back and let these things do stuff before I go probing, just in case I have a slippage of the probos and blow something to smithereens. Nothing on that. Not looking good on the CPU. No. Nothing at all on CPUs. So we're burning up 320 somewhere, so I guess it's time for the other camera alternative to come out. We'll find out where that heat is actually going. Yeah, this is the M1. And I just realized this was not plugged in to that properly. At least it didn't feel like it. Let's give that another shot, just in case. Although not having CPU or GPU voltages is generally not conducive to something coming on the screen. Yeah, Gecko's laughing. They always do. Jim, I'll check email. TiVo view. Viewers. Okay, TiVo ICT view. That's a seriously comprehensive format. And that's a definite full stack format. So there's no spec in that, but I'll see if I can find a spec for it. Alright, that's no good, so we're going to have to switch over to a thermal camera now and see if that gives us any hints. I'm not surprised, to be honest. I mean, there was a lot of damage on that board, so you can't expect something to endure that level of corrosion and just come up nicely. But I mean, yeah, at least we got 20 volts. It's a small consolation. Alright, Paul, what have you done with Jim's camera? Oh, there it is. Thermcam time. Hopefully it's got charge in it. bit of a pain when it doesn't. Okay. We don't really need that. So it's just general heating at this point. Okay, so flash is heating up. Nothing really jumping out there. The fact that it is heating up normally is kind of a bad sign. And what bothers me is we've got this heating up. It might be a case of it wants the battery. It really might be the case it wants the battery. Because nothing is untowardly heating up there. DFU would normally be represented by only about 50 milliamp consumption, so I don't think it's that. Okay, I'm just going to get my other chassis simply so I can connect the battery and nothing else. Oh, I actually realised I could just put this one in anyway. So obviously we've got no display. The rest of it is wrecked. Actually, come to think of it, I don't think I've got a chassis for this model. The one I've got is I can't remember the model number now. Oh, it's for the 1598. That's the one I've got. Or the 1958. I've got both of them. Yeah, I don't have the 1987 model. That's what the problem is. Which means yet another chassis for me to have to acquire at some point. I might try Pedro Scam. His shop's not too bad for me picking up dodgy chassis. Where do I get the glasses? Oh, on my chest. Does he give me a scammer discount? Yes, he gives me a plus 20% discount. So my $100 board costs me a nice cheap $120. Now, as I said, unfortunately that's blown. We have no backlight circuitry anyway, so at this point we will once again be having to use that little display. We don't have a fan spin at this point. Let's check the CPU, GPU voltages. Hey, Yuns. A little too much of zero around here. We're not getting any CPU or GPU voltages, so yeah, I think we've still got more issues to deal with. And of course, the big problem being is that we saw the bridging of power between the two pins on the backlight, on the display connector rather. So it seems like it's bringing up the rest of the system, but then the CPU's like, nay, I'm not coming up. So we may actually still be in the scenario where the CPU is in fact dead. It's not specifically shorted, but that does not mean it's not dead. I mean, shorted is certainly one type of dead that a CPU can have, but it's not the only type of dead. It's okay, so it would have been this pin here, backlight output, EDP auxiliary channels, where do they go? Straight to the CPU, damn it. Straight in, no, nothing, it's just straight in. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, both of them just go right in. So these two here, they're probably what got crispy fried. Dennis, it looks like it was Coke. And like I said, it's more concerning for the fact that these here warm up, so it is at least bringing that stage of the system up, as well as here we're getting some warmth there. It's not a localized heating in one specific point. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of corrosion under here, yeah, but these are big caps and they're not going to be upset by that at this point. What we will do is we'll just check a couple of rails and see if we're getting anything coming up, because we've got 0 volts at this point. Yeah, I did, Travis, check the email. Let's see. Now the only trouble I've got here is that I do not have as yet any guides on this one. Search. Okay, so the board's up there, but there's no data on this board, on open board data. Is the fuse still okay? I believe it probably is. Now what I want to do is I actually want to add a diagnostic sequence to this. So let's see, which one will I work? 1598 has it already. I think 2020 has it as well. Oh, okay. Okay, so I've got a full boot sequence here for, this is for the 1598. I should be able to copy it across, I hope. To actually remind you, this is the Intel. Might not work with the M1s. Oh well, let's find out. So what I'm going to do is copy the diagnosis section. Paste. And I now have a boot sequence section on this board too. M1 rails are completely different, damn it. I was hoping maybe there might be something. Well, there's still a few that are common. Yeah, there's still a common few there, so I'm going to just check them anyway. Oh, Jim, I'm just looking at your second email right now. I wonder if they would give me the spec. Somehow I doubt it. ICT view. I suspect they won't, on the basis of the fact that I'll effectively be making a competing sort of program for them compared to what they're doing. I mean, at the moment, obviously, I don't do any of the traces or anything like that, but they would know that I probably will in the near future. TiVo ICT. One way we could find out is if something like KiCad has ICT import. If we can find something that's open source that has ICT import, then there's a chance. Let's go back to the microscope. Time to start digging around. Start at the basics. We'll go for the 4 view on this. There we go. You can actually see from that view how high the camera now is. I gotta admit, I feel like I am wasting my time with this. What is the time? It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, so we'll check a couple of rails, but I think it's time to close up. Check Messenger. Oh, fuck, mom. You mean Facebook, mate? I usually have Facebook closed for this sort of thing. M1 power up sequence. Oh, you got. Oh. Okay, Pedro's given me some power rails that might actually be more useful. So what we do here is we'll go note start M1 Pedro short. And let's see. And what I'm doing here is just converting these into network. I think this is all I'll be able to use. Don't know what the other ones there are. Save. Load the board again. And we've got the Pedro short sequence. What the hell, Pedro? None of those even appear. This is the 1987, not the 2020. Wait. Oh, hang on. Isn't this still an Intel? This is still an Intel, you dipwits. Isn't it? Yeah. Right, for those watching at home waiting for me to make a great big COCK up. Well, this is my COCK up. This is actually an Intel board, I forgot. And yeah, so that's why the MRAM rails don't apply. So this one does apply, which is why... Damn it, knew I was being an idiot somewhere along the line. And of course Pedro just walked me right into that one. Thank you very much, Scam Boy. Thank you very much. Okay, so well, let's do the M1s. Not the M1. Intel style. Intel style. And yeah. Just trying to find a place to test these voltages. So probably the T2's botched up anyway. What? Why does this board not even look like it matches? Hey, Micromage. No, that's good, that's good. Oh, wait, no, it's just me. Yeah. I thought Pedro was, trolling me again, but what it was is I was looking at this here and not seeing that it was the SOT 235. I was getting confused with this part up here, so that was my bad. My bad. Check my phone. No siree. Okay, so what do we got on here? 3.3, so we do have 3v3 RTC, okay, 3v3 G3 hot. Hot. No, we don't want that side of the board because that would mean flipping the board over. Oh, gee. G3 hot is everywhere on the other side, but on here it's in some tiny little places. After this one here. 329. Just seeing if it does a dip or anything like that. Okay, it seems pretty steady. Okay, sleep. Which is the cap, so that's there. 1.8 seems legit. PMU 32 clock. Yeah. Okay. By the way, I'm sort of becoming more and more a user of test pads than chip pins. 0.875. I'm just gonna control that. Damn it. Get here. Okay, pause. See if we can get a clock on this. Unpause. Yeah, see if we can get a clock's count on this. Okay, so we've got a 32 kilohertz there, so that's good. Switch back to volts. 1 V8 awake. Ugh. Honestly, this mouse is gonna have a flying mouse soon. Okay, we do not have 1 V8 awake, it seems, unless I'm misinterpreting this. Oh, we do. No, we don't. Yes, we do. I'm going to say that was just me not probing things correctly. My tips get a little bit dirty. Yeah, that seems pretty stable. Don't seem to have that rail. Do have that rail. On 1.0, yep. Oh, don't go congratulating Pedro for that troll. Oh my god, you're just going to encourage him. He's already incorrigible enough. Don't encourage him to be more so. 0.8's good. Yeah, really, if it wasn't my nighttime streaming type event, then I probably would have binned it. Because it's certainly, you know, as soon as I opened it up and saw that damage on the display connector, it was probably hitting 0.82, so that's holding steady. I think we're going to find that all our rail voltages are in fact intact, but we'll keep going. Yeah, we'll probably find they're all intact, but the CPU is bye-bye. 329, yep, 3v3 awake. Pedro should be pretty happy with himself. I mean, he's managed to basically come from being a nobody to being a notorious nobody, a known nobody. Okay, I don't know what VDD CPU SD RAM awake is meant to be. Alright, we've got something here. This is switching between 1 and 0.8. Point 9, smack on. Just sort of gecko racing for its life. .1 awake. I can't measure this 24 megahertz clock, so we're just going to have to assume it's alive. Okay, a little crystal there. .2. What I don't get is I actually would have expected a lot of these rails to be down, or certainly no longer in the awake state. You know, would have expected them to be shut down. Okay, what have we got here? This is an unusual voltage, 0.5324 for VDD CPU awake. That's not really a value that I would anticipate. And let's see, they say it should be between 0.625 and 1. It's going into U3900. Oh god. So I mean, it's not that I would trust what they've written there, because yeah, they do change these they change the board spec after the document many a time. So 0.53, it seems a little low, so it could be being dragged down, but if it was being dragged down, I would expect a higher current in general and more heat. But we are seeing a fair bit of heat in U3900, so it's definitely on the low side. Let's see if we can find something a little more dramatic, like as in completely gone. PMU sysalive might be useful. Let's see, I think that's this one here. 1.8 for PMU sysalive. PMU active. Okay, what? Say what? So, oh right, yeah, there it is. Huh. 1.8. Cold reset. .8. Oh yeah, certainly much easier when you got actual blown parts. Yeah. I mean, we had a few. That was the trouble. Is in these sort of board scenarios, yeah, you get blown parts, but because the liquid damage everywhere, it doesn't really sort of eliminate them all. Okay, that's going to be that one there. 3.3. 3v3 main good. I probably should actually distill this list down to something that is a little more concise, something that you can basically just like check all the good ones. No, I mean 3v3 main good is showing up. I thought we already checked 3v3 RTC. What was it that we had before? 3v3 G3 hot RTC. Oh no, yeah, we've checked that one and that one. Nah. Alright, look, I'm getting a bit tired, so I think I'm actually going to just... I'll do some more checking tomorrow, but I have a very strong suspicion this CPU is just cactus. It's bone cold. There's no heat whatsoever coming out of that board. Nothing. The only heat is coming from under here, and I think it's, your T2 area. So yeah, I think we'll cancel that for tonight. We missed out on the 1398 that I was also meant to be trying. But yeah, we're running out of time. So, alright, I am out of here. Sorry we didn't have a win tonight, but that was pretty severe liquid damage. And like I said, under normal circumstances, as soon as we opened it up and we saw that there was that shorted corrosion between the backlight output and the CPU data pins, we pretty much should have just closed it back up and went on to the next machine. But I thought we'd explore it simply because, it gives us something to put on video. And it also gave me a chance to try out some of the new sequence stuff on Flexboardview. Okay, I'm out of here. You all take care. See you next time.